Ladies and gentlemen, life as we know it is not a straight path. It's full of twists, turns, and moments where you might feel as though you've hit a dead end. When you lose all hope, it's tempting to believe that the world is stacked against you and that there's no way out. But I want you to consider something profound. Losing hope isn't the end. It's the beginning of transformation. Hope is not a feeling that falls from the sky. It's not something that magically appears when times are tough. Hope is something you build. And when it's gone, it means you've reached the point where the old structure of your life isn't working anymore. That's terrifying, yes, but it's also an opportunity. Start small. You might be surrounded by chaos, but you can begin to clean a tiny corner of it. Maybe that corner is your room. Maybe it's a single conversation you've been avoiding. When everything feels overwhelming, scale it down until it's manageable. There's immense power in setting a single goal and achieving it. And remember this, when hope vanishes, it's often because you've lost a sense of meaning. Life is hard, it's undeniable, suffering is baked into the human experience, but meaning can carry you through suffering. Meaning is what gives you the strength to bear the burden of life's trials. Where do you find meaning? In responsibility, in service, in stepping up to the challenges before you, no matter how small they may seem. And here's another truth. You always have a choice. Even when your circumstances are bleak, you can choose how to respond. You can choose to move forward, however painful and slow that progress may be. You can choose to confront the truth about your situation. Because truth, no matter how harsh, is the foundation of real growth. And let's not forget about the people around you. Despair thrives in isolation. You might feel like you're alone, but chances are there's someone who cares, someone who's willing to help if you reach out. And if you can't find someone, then consider being that person for someone else. Sometimes, in lifting others, we lift ourselves. So what do you do when you lose all hope? You take one. When everything seems to crumble around you and the weight of despair presses heavily on your shoulders, it's often because the meaning that once held your life together has been fractured or lost entirely. Meaning is not just a lofty philosophical concept. It is a fundamental element of human existence. It gives structure to our lives, frames our actions, and serves as a guiding star when darkness looms. The loss of hope is frequently tied to a disconnection from meaning. Without it, life's trials appear insurmountable and suffering becomes unbearable. Meaning does not eliminate suffering, it contextualizes it. Adversity is an inevitable part of life. No one escapes its grasp, but when your suffering has a purpose, when it serves a greater end, it becomes more than just a source of pain. It becomes a challenge to be met, a lesson to be learned, or a pathway to growth. The human spirit is remarkable in its ability to endure hardship when the individual perceives their struggle as meaningful. Think of the sacrifices made by a parent for their child, or the efforts of someone pursuing a dream against all odds. The burdens they carry are heavy, but they are shouldered willingly because they are infused with purpose. When you lose hope, it's often because you feel cut off from this sense of purpose. You might look at your life and see no clear direction, no guiding principle to make sense of the chaos. This disconnection can lead to a state of existential despair, where the question, why does this matter, becomes a relentless whisper in your mind. This is a dangerous place to be, but it is not an unchangeable state. But the key to rebuilding hope lies in reconnecting with meaning. To reconnect with meaning, you must first acknowledge its absence. This is not an easy task. It requires you to confront the painful reality that your previous sources of meaning, whether they were relationships, career aspirations, or personal beliefs, may no longer serve you. This confrontation is uncomfortable, but it is necessary. Denying the absence of meaning only prolongs the feeling of hopelessness. Instead, accept where you are and recognize that this is a starting point, not an end point. Once you've acknowledged the void, begin to search for what matters to you. This is a deeply personal journey. Meaning is not something that can be handed to you. It is something you must discover for yourself. It may involve looking inward to identify your values, passions, and strengths. It may also require looking outward to find ways to contribute to others or to a cause greater than yourself. in this process. Remember that meaning does not have to be grandiose. It doesn't need to be tied to saving the world or achieving monumental success. Often, meaning is found in the small, everyday actions that bring a sense of fulfillment and connection. For example, a person who feels adrift after losing their job might initially feel that their life has no meaning, but through reflection, they may realize that what truly matters to them is providing for their family or making a difference in their community. With this clarity, they can begin to rebuild, even if it starts with something as simple as volunteering or learning a new skill. The key is to take steps, however small, towards something that aligns with their sense of purpose. Meaning also has a relational aspect. Human beings are social creatures, and much of the meaning we derive in life comes from our connections with others. When you lose hope, it can be tempting to withdraw, to isolate yourself from those around you. But this only deepens the sense of despair. Instead, seek out opportunities to engage with others. This could mean rekindling old relationships, reaching out for support, or even helping someone else who is struggling. In doing so, you may find that your own suffering becomes more bearable and your sense of purpose begins to reemerge. It is important to note that meaning is not static. What provides meaning in one stage of life may not be sufficient in another. This is why the search for meaning is an ongoing process. When you face adversity, it is an opportunity to reassess and redefine what truly matters to you. This process is not linear, and it may involve setbacks and moments of doubt, but each step you take toward rediscovering meaning is a step away from hopelessness and toward a life that feels worth living. In moments of despair, it can feel as though meaning is unreachable, but it is always there, waiting to be uncovered. The process of finding meaning is not easy. It requires courage, honesty, and perseverance. But it is through this process that you can transform your suffering into something profound. And in doing so, you not only rebuild hope, but you also create a life that is deeply fulfilling, even in the face of adversity. Underscore, 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 underscore. Life is inherently unpredictable, and at times it can feel like chaos has taken over. Adversity strikes, plans unravel, and the future seems shrouded in uncertainty. This chaotic nature of life often leaves us feeling overwhelmed, powerless, and hopeless. The weight of unpredictability can seem too great to bear, leading to despair. However, there is a path out of this darkness, and it begins with embracing the one thing you can control: responsibility. Responsibility is not just a burden, it is the key to finding stability amidst chaos and reclaiming a sense of purpose. Taking responsibility is not about blaming yourself for everything that has gone wrong. It is not about shouldering the entirety of life's difficulties or thinking you must fix every problem. Instead, it's about identifying what you can do in the present moment to bring even a small measure of order to your life. Chaos, by its nature, feels infinite and insurmountable, but if you can focus on one area, no matter how small, you can begin to push back against the tide of disorder. It gives you a sense of agency. When life feels out of control, it's easy to fall into a mindset of helplessness. You might think, why bother? Nothing I do will make a difference. But this mindset only deepens the chaos. By taking responsibility, you remind yourself that you are not entirely powerless. You have the ability to act, even if your actions feel minor in the grand scheme of things. These actions, however small, start to build momentum. They create a foundation on which you can stand and begin to face the larger challenges ahead. One of the most profound aspects of responsibility is its grounding effect. Chaos is disorienting. It scatters your thoughts, emotions, and energy in all directions. Responsibility, on the other hand, anchors you. It provides a sense of focus and direction. When you take responsibility for even a single task, you create a point of stability in the swirling storm of uncertainty. This stability allows you to think more clearly, make better decisions, and gradually expand your sphere of control. It's important to note that responsibility is deeply tied to meaning. Human beings are not wired to find fulfillment in ease and comfort alone. We thrive when we are working towards something meaningful, even if it is difficult. Responsibility connects you to that sense of meaning because it ties your actions to a greater purpose. When you take responsibility, you are saying, "This matters enough for me to act," whether it's caring for your family, contributing to your community, or simply striving to improve yourself. Responsibility transforms your actions into something purposeful. This doesn't mean that taking responsibility is easy. In fact, it's often one of the most challenging things you can do, especially when you're already feeling overwhelmed. The temptation to avoid responsibility can be strong. You might think, "I'm already struggling. How can I take on even more?" But avoidance only prolongs the chaos. Ignoring problems does not make them go away. It allows them to grow unchecked. Taking responsibility, on the other hand, is an act of courage. It requires you to face the discomfort of acknowledging what needs to be done and to take the first step, no matter how small. The beauty of responsibility is that it is inherently empowering. Each time you take responsibility for something and follow through, you prove to yourself that you are capable of making a difference. This builds confidence and resilience. Over time, the small victories you achieve through responsibility begin to accumulate. They create a ripple effect, spreading order and stability to other areas of your life. What once seemed chaotic and unmanageable starts to feel more within your grasp. Responsibility also has a ripple effect on others. When you take responsibility, you set an example for those around you. Your actions demonstrate that it is possible to face challenges head-on and make progress, even in difficult circumstances. This can inspire others to do the same, creating a positive cycle of growth and improvement. In this way, taking responsibility not only benefits you, but also contributes to the well-being of your family, friends, and community. Life's chaos is unavoidable, but your response to it is within your control. Taking responsibility does not mean eliminating chaos entirely. Such a goal is unrealistic. Instead, it means finding ways to create order where you can, step by step. It means recognizing that while you may not be able to change everything, you can change something. And that something, no matter how small, is where hope begins to grow. Responsibility is a path, not a destination. It is a continual process of identifying what you can do, taking action, and learning from the results. It is through this process that you reclaim your agency, rebuild your sense of purpose, and begin to transform chaos into something meaningful. So, when life feels overwhelming, remember, start small, take responsibility, and watch as even the smallest actions begin to shift the tide. Quote, "In responsibility lies the power to navigate life's chaos and to rediscover the hope that feels so far away." When hope is lost, life can feel like a mountain too steep to climb. The enormity of what lies ahead, whether it's overcoming failure, recovering from loss, or simply making it through another day, can be paralyzing. In these moments, the idea of fixing your entire life or achieving monumental goals seems impossible. But here's an essential truth. The way to rebuild yourself and restore hope is not through grand gestures or overwhelming ambitions, but through small, manageable goals. These small steps, though they may seem insignificant at first, are the foundation upon which you can begin to regain control and rebuild your life. The human mind often defaults to catastrophizing when overwhelmed. You see the entirety of the problem and believe it must be solved all at once. This is a trap. Attempting to tackle everything at once is not only unrealistic, but also counterproductive, as it sets you up for failure and deepens the sense of hopelessness. What you need is a strategy that allows you to regain confidence, one small success at a time. Setting manageable goals is that strategy, and it works because it aligns with how we naturally build momentum and confidence. When life feels unmanageable, the first step is to narrow your focus. Instead of looking at the vast expanse of what needs to be done, look at the smallest, simplest task you can complete. It could be as basic as making your bed, organizing a single drawer, or taking a short walk outside. These actions might seem trivial, but they are far from meaningless. They represent the first cracks of light in the darkness, the first signals to yourself that you are capable of taking action, no matter how small. These small acts create a sense of order in the chaos, and that order begins to grow with each successive step. Achieving even the smallest goal has a psychological effect. It provides a sense of accomplishment, however minor, and reinforces the belief that you are not entirely powerless. This feeling of agency is critical when you are rebuilding hope. Each time you complete a task, you send yourself a message. I can do this. I am capable. Over time, these small victories accumulate, creating a ripple effect that builds confidence and resilience. What once seemed insurmountable begins to feel more achievable because you've proven to yourself, step by step, that progress is possible. It's also important to recognize that small goals are not just a means to an end, they are valuable in and of themselves. Life is not solely about achieving grand milestones. It is also about the small, consistent actions that bring structure and meaning to your days. When you are in a state of hopelessness, these actions can anchor you. They provide a routine, a sense of normalcy, and a way to engage with the world, even when everything feels like it's falling apart. In this way, small goals serve as both a starting point and a sustaining force as you work to rebuild your life. As you begin to achieve these small goals, you can gradually expand your focus. What starts as a single task can evolve into a daily habit, and from there into a larger project or ambition. For example, if your first goal is to clean one corner of your living space, this can lead to organizing the entire room, which might then inspire you to tackle other areas of your life, such as your finances, health, or relationships. The key is to let progress build naturally without forcing yourself to take on more than you can handle at any given time. Another critical aspect of starting with small, manageable goals is that it reduces the fear of failure. When your goals are small, the stakes are lower, and the fear of falling short diminishes. This allows you to approach your tasks with less anxiety and more confidence. And if you do encounter setbacks, which is inevitable, you can recover more easily because the scale of your efforts is manageable. This resilience is essential in the process of rebuilding hope, as it teaches you that failure is not the end, but simply a step along the way. It's also worth noting that small goals often lead to unexpected rewards. In the process of completing even the simplest tasks, you might discover new insights, opportunities, or connections that you hadn't anticipated. For instance, taking a short walk might lead to a meaningful conversation with someone you meet along the way, or organizing your space might spark a sense of creativity that inspires you to pursue a new hobby or project. These moments of serendipity are a reminder that even the smallest actions can have far-reaching effects. Rebuilding hope is not a process of grand gestures or overnight transformations. It is a slow, deliberate journey that begins with the smallest of steps. These steps may seem insignificant at first, but they carry immense power. They teach you that you are capable, that progress is possible, and that even in the face of despair, you have the ability to move forward. By starting small, you create a foundation of stability and confidence that allows you to take on greater challenges over time. And as you continue to build on this foundation, you will find that hope is not something you wait for, it is something you create, one small step at a time. Life's darkest moments often come with the overwhelming sense that you are trapped, powerless, and at the mercy of forces beyond your control. When hope has faded, this feeling of helplessness can root itself deeply, convincing you that there is no way forward. But even in the bleakest circumstances, there remains one undeniable truth. You always have the power of choice. No matter how constrained or impossible your situation may seem, your ability to choose how you respond is never fully taken away. It is within this power that you can find the seeds of transformation and the pathway to rebuilding hope. Choice begins with awareness. When life feels out of control, it's easy to fall into a reactive state, where you are driven solely by fear, anger, or despair. These emotions, while valid, often cloud judgment and make it difficult to see the options available to you. Taking a moment to pause and reflect, even in the midst of chaos, is a vital first step. By doing so, you create a small space in which you can examine your situation, acknowledge your feelings, and begin to consider how you might respond. This act of pausing is itself a choice, a deliberate rejection of mindless reactivity in favor of thoughtful action. Choosing how to respond does not mean denying the reality of your circumstances. In fact, it requires facing the truth head-on, no matter how painful or uncomfortable that truth may be. Avoidance might seem like the easier path, but it only deepens the sense of helplessness over time. By confronting the reality of your situation, you reclaim a measure of control. You cannot change what has already happened, nor can you always dictate the external conditions of your life, but you can decide how to approach the challenges before you. This decision, however small, is an assertion of your autonomy. In moments of despair, it can be tempting to believe that there are no good choices left to make, but this is rarely the case. Often the issue lies not in the absence of options, but in the fear of choosing the wrong one. This fear can be paralyzing, but it is important to remember that even an imperfect choice is better than no choice at all. Action, no matter how small or uncertain, breaks the cycle of stagnation and begins to restore a sense of agency. Each choice you make is a step forward, and each step forward, no matter how tentative, brings you closer to regaining hope. The power of choice also lies in its ability to reshape your perspective. Circumstances, no matter how dire, are filtered through the lens of how you interpret them. While you may not have control over external events, you have control over the meaning you assign to them. For example, a failure can be seen as a definitive end or as a painful but valuable lesson. A setback can be viewed as evidence of inadequacy or as an opportunity to grow stronger. These interpretations are choices, and they have a profound impact on how you experience and navigate life's challenges. Choosing to focus on what you can control is another critical aspect of reclaiming hope. When faced with overwhelming situations, it's natural to fixate on the things that are beyond your influence, other people's actions, unforeseen events, or past mistakes. While these factors may contribute to your pain, dwelling on them only deepens your sense of powerlessness. Instead, direct your attention to the areas where you do have agency. This might include your daily habits, your relationships, or even your attitude. By focusing on what is within your control, you create a foundation from which you can begin to rebuild. It's also important to recognize that choosing how to respond is not a one-time event. Life constantly presents new challenges, and the process of making deliberate choices is ongoing. Some days your choices may feel small, choosing to get out of bed, to eat a healthy meal, or to reach out to a friend. On other days, they may feel monumental, such as deciding to forgive someone, pursue a new opportunity, or take a stand for what you believe in. Each choice, regardless of its size, contributes to the larger narrative of your life and helps to shape the person you are becoming. Even in moments of extreme hardship, the power of choice can be a source of profound strength. History is filled with examples of individuals who, despite facing unimaginable suffering, chose to respond with courage, dignity, and resilience. Their circumstances did not define them, their choices did. This serves as a reminder that no matter how bleak the situation, you retain the ability to determine how you will face it. This power is not to be underestimated, for it is the foundation of hope. The act of choosing is a declaration that you are not defeated, that you are still capable of shaping your life in meaningful ways. It is an act of defiance against despair and a reaffirmation of your humanity. While the road ahead may still be difficult, each choice you make paves the way for progress, no matter how slow or incremental it may feel. As by embracing this power, you can begin to move from a place of hopelessness to a place of possibility, where hope is not something you passively wait for, but something you actively create. Hope is not an abstract concept that magically appears when life is at its darkest. It is something you can cultivate, a process that requires intentionality and effort. One of the most powerful ways to nurture hope is by finding purpose, even in the smallest acts. Purpose is what connects you to something larger than yourself, something that imbues your actions with meaning, no matter how challenging your circumstances might be. It serves as a guiding light, a compass that points the way forward when everything else seems lost. Purpose is not limited to grand ambitions or life-altering achievements. It is found in the everyday choices that align with your values and bring even a flicker of meaning into your life. When life feels overwhelming, the idea of finding purpose can seem daunting. You might ask yourself, how can I focus on purpose when I'm struggling just to get through the day? But it's important to remember that purpose doesn't have to be something monumental. It doesn't require you to change the world or achieve some lofty goal. Purpose can be found in small, deliberate actions that reflect your values, contribute to the well-being of others, or simply make life a little better for yourself or someone else. It might be as simple as showing kindness to a stranger, helping a friend in need, or dedicating time to a task that aligns with your personal principles in the process of cultivating purpose. It's essential to focus on what is meaningful to you, not what others expect or define as important. Purpose is deeply personal, and it can look different for everyone. For some, it might be rooted in their relationships, caring for a loved one, supporting a child, or fostering meaningful connections with others. For others, it might come from pursuing a passion, contributing to a cause they care about, or simply striving to grow and improve as a person. Whatever it may be, the key is to identify what resonates with you, what gives you a sense of fulfillment, and to take small steps in that direction.